Good morning. The time being 9 o'clock, we're going to call the meeting to order. First thing this morning is to adopt the agenda. It was in everybody's council package. So looking for a motion to adopt the agenda. Darren?
That the September 23rd, 2025 agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion's carried. Next, we have a declaration of conflict of interest. Everybody got their package and has read it. Looking for any conflict of interest? I have one to declare section 10.2 of municipal grants. I'll be stepping out for that item. Anybody else? Seeing none other. Moving on to meeting minutes of September 9th. Looking for a motion to accept the minutes.
Sure. That the minutes of the regular meeting held on September 9th, 2025 be approved as circulated and presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. One thing we didn't have on here, I'm just going to stop here, Shauna, is any amendments to the agenda, if anybody had any. We didn't have any amendments. Okay. Okay, we're going to move along to list of accounts. 5.1, Sarah.
So check 5533 to the WCRM 158. This is for money call number 12 that was approved at the September 9th council meeting. Check 5534 to KBJ Contractor. This is for the Emerald Park bathroom shop upgrade. The deposit, and this is within the Emerald Park shop maintenance budget of $50,000. Check 5537. And then a couple others on the list are the 3 approved sponsorship policy applications totaling $2,550 for the fall intake. Check 5546 to Southern Asphalt for the Bridlewood Road improvement. This has a 10% holdback that will be released next council meeting, and the total invoice is within the $250,000 budget. And check 5550. I was advised by the wastewater administrator that money call number 11 was actually canceled. So I had to reverse that check that was approved last council meeting. And then this is just reissuing payment for the connection fees that had also been grouped into that check. And then down in the proposed EFT payment section, the payment to AECom for the Kingsmere Drainage Project, that's within the budget of $150,000 for this year. And then over on the visa report, I'll just point out the communications officer professional development. This is within the budget for $2,500 for professional development.
Okay, looking for a motion to accept the list of accounts. Stephen?
That the list of accounts consisting of check number 5533 to 5552, other payments number 266 to 281, credit card payment number 23, and proposed EFT payments totaling $1,109,732.93 plus August 24th, September 6th, 2025 payroll totaling $56,449.67 be approved for payment.
All in favor?
I have a quick question. The Kingsmere Drainage Project, is the 25,000, is this on top of the 100,000? Or is this included in the 100,000 that we were projecting?
Yep, it's so far it's just the engineering work, so no construction started out there yet. But yeah, no additional funds yet.
Any other questions? All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, 6.1, Town of White City. Topic is Town of White City boundary alteration request. Southwest and southeast 19, 17, 17 west of the 2nd. and Block A, Plan 101-742-320 in Northeast 1817 west of the second. We are going to move to the delegation section of this and begin with our delegations. First delegation would be Gail Curte. Here. Okay, I just ask that you come up, introduce yourself, and give your presentation. You have about 10 minutes to present, and then there'll be questions.
You can go first. Okay,
Good morning.
thank you very much, Council, for having us here today. My name is Max Hendricks, and I live at 26 Deneb Drive with my wife, Sandra, who couldn't be here today. What I'm here about is my concern over the annexation of the Epona Farms land. And what our delegation would like to encourage is that Council consider actually undertaking some consultations before proceeding with this application for annexation. The whole process feels rushed to us. We received our letters 1 week before the minimum in the Municipalities Act. And a lot of people don't pick up their mail every day, or some didn't get it till sooner. And then there was 5 days to submit a written opposition declaration, which was a challenge for me in particular. I was out of town working, and then I did submit one, and I copied the RM, copied the town, and copied the Board of Municipal Affairs, and it's not shown on your materials. The other thing is that, I think that in considering this, the landowner has stated that he is available and his developer is available to consult with people, to show the plans that they have for the development, and to share everything from geotechnical to water studies, that sort of thing, with the landowners along this road. But that hasn't been allowed. We haven't been given that opportunity. We attended the White City Council meeting, and we thought it was going to be an information sharing session. It was just us giving a verbal notice of opposition. So in our opinion, we should have an opportunity to view the developer's plan before this council continues. Deneb is a dead end road, and it is very low on traffic. We have large acreages from 6 to 10 acres. Our children grew up on that road, and other children are growing up on it now. And we have dogs and animals. Some people have animals, and this would be majorly disruptive. People from White City use that road to walk along, walk their dogs, that sort of thing. And if I understand the plan, it says that it will call for the widening of the road to the south and west of the proposed development, which would be Deneb. There's also the possibility that it could become a throughfare to access the south part of the property, or the annexed property. So we're quite concerned about that. My friend will talk about it more, but the well that we have on our property, which we rely on, we don't have any city or town water, has dropped by 5 feet over the last decade. And so it's been due to drought, that sort of thing, but also increased usage by residents and that sort of thing. So, I'm quite concerned about our water in the future. That would be extremely expensive to drill another well. The other thing that we're concerned about is right now this land is classified as non-arable ranch land, which means that the taxation that the RM will get from this land is very low, even at a factor of 22.5. The city will reap the benefits of allowing this land to be developed and to see the property values and the increase on this land, because it uses the agriculture mill rate, which is 1.07. It's the lowest. I pay as much taxes in 1 year as Epona Farms does in 10. So I think that needs to be considered too. I guess, from our perspective, the development really, really needs to be considered by the landowners in this council. The recommendation in the briefing to council from the RM administration really doesn't make sense to me. The exclusion of materials, that sort of thing, it's very odd. It just feels very rushed. And I'm not sure that this is that the administration, whoever is exercising its fiduciary responsibility to consult with landowners and ratepayers. So I would ask this council today to look at the option that has been provided by the administration to allow a consultation, information sharing, an open house or something to occur where we and you get to see what the development plans, maybe you've seen them, I don't know. I've asked for copies of them, they haven't been provided. And so we would encourage that be allowed to go ahead before any final decisions are made. I think that, and I don't know for sure, I've copied the municipal board on my letter, but I think that would help an application with the municipal board, because if they see that this process was circumvented, I think there are going to be issues. So that concludes my presentation. I'll let Garrett continue.
I'm a resident of 14 Deneve Drive, and I want to present I want to make a presentation on behalf of all of the residents here. I have a petition that was signed by 21 people. I would like to submit that.
Can I ask that you introduce yourself, please?
Garrett McKenzie.
Thank you.
I have a petition that was circulated and has been signed by 21 people. That same petition was also submitted to White City. At their meeting on September 2nd, they indicated that we had till September 5th to contribute with written submissions. In the notes for the report 2568, it indicates that there was only 2 written submissions received. Those were the written submissions received by September 2nd, not the ones by September 5th. I know of at least 3 other submissions and a petition that was submitted that are not included in referenced in this report. In the report, it also indicates that the RM administration has been negotiating with the town. What are the standing of these negotiations? And why is a portion of Deneve and Kennedy south of Deneve to the 48 being included in this annexation? Ceding ownership and control of these roads will cut off the residents from access to our roads without transversing White City owned and maintained roads. We are members of the RM and want to remain members of the RM and feel that the RM should maintain ownership and control of these roads. In relation to Thomas Pawlowski's letter, he indicates that there has been multiple reports and plans done, and he is willing to share them with us. However, none of that, as far as I know, has even been requested by the RM. It's hard to make a decision without any information, particularly when that party is offering, as I quote, "We are committed to working collaboratively with the town of White City, the RM of Edenwold, and all relevant stakeholders to ensure the annexation proceed in a transparent, responsible, and timely manner. To that end, we would be pleased to provide further supporting documentation and provide a presentation of our vision at the future meetings to assist council administration in review of this request." It seems irresponsible to make a decision without weighing all information provided. Spoke to that. My second point of discussion relates to the ruling by the Municipal Boundary Committee that was upheld by the Court of Appeal in Saskatchewan in relation to the annexation attempt by White City in 2019. Section 2, paragraph 18 of the Court of Appeal decisions, the committee found that the town had not demonstrated a need for land for future land growth. What has changed since that has been rendered? Currently, there are only 5 houses built in Royal Park and only 2 under construction of those undeveloped lands. Referencing section 5, paragraph 42, 43, 67, 68, 94 of the Court of Appeal decision in relation to partial annexation and amount of land available for development. The judge indicated that he agreed there was sufficient land for development for 10 to 12 years, and the SMB's board ruling was logical and correct, that there should be no partial annexation. So this would be a partial annexation. Again, 6 years later, there's only 5 houses built on these lands, and thus it remains a fact the town still has 10 to 12 years of land to sustain growth. I would go as far as saying as it probably has far more than 10 to 12 years. In relation to White City's official community plan, Section 5, paragraph 78 of the Court of Appeals decision, the PDA expressly provides where the OCP exists, it is legally binding and should be the driving force in future development. So given the Court of Appeal has stated that the OCP is legally binding and should be the driving force of future development, we must take the OCP at face value. The OCP clearly states that on page 111 that Southwest 19 to be zoned as mixed use urban development and Northeast 18 to be zoned as long-term commercial, light and industrial development. This aforementioned zoning is not in line with the country residential zoning that exists in Escott-Deneve subdivision and will directly impact us as residents. I've printed out the 20 active well reports that exist for the Escott-Deneve subdivision and would like these entered into record. All of these wells are drilled at a depth of 60 feet, wellheads probably in the 20-foot range. There is one well, the first well that was drilled, that is 100. If you look at the elevation and topography of the land, that creek bed that runs through these annexation lands is exactly where our wellheads mostly sit. So any development on those lands will have an impact on our water table. In summary, we, the residents of the Escott-Deneve subdivision, request that the RM Council deny the boundary alteration request. The town does not require this land for growth. As ratepayers of the RM, we believe the RM is better situated to represent our interests in future development and zoning. The town of White City has not demonstrated a willingness to listen to the concerns of ratepayers of the RM, as evident by their pursuing of the 2019 annexation attempt and subsequent appeal. The town is not beholden to the ratepayers of Escott-Deneve. We ask again the RM Council to look out for our interests of its ratepayers and deny this request. The town has separated the annexation of this land from the planning and intended use discussion. This is unacceptable and does not contribute to building a trust between the RM, the town, and affected residents. We, as residents, need the RM to stand up for us. The proposed annexation will physically sever us as residents of the Escott-Deneve subdivisions from the RM. The RM has served us well, and we need the RM now more than ever to advocate for us, directly impacted residents, to stop this unjustified annexation. You have done a great job as councillors and administration for the residents during the previous annexation attempts, and we trust that you will continue to do so. We understand the council needs to be strategic in accommodating future land growth and to work with the town. However, this annexation is simply not needed, as independently supported by previous legal decisions. It is not in the best interest of the residents. We again ask the RM at Edenwold Council to look out for the interests of its ratepayers and deny this request. The RM Council had previously given a conditional approval to the boundary alteration request, subject to public feedback, and that is why we are here today. We as the public and as ratepayers of the RM have attended the meeting, written the RM, written the town, written the councillors, written the provincial government, started and submitted petitions, all in an effort to make the public position known. We do not want this. That is your feedback, and we ask you act on this feedback and do not provide final approval.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions you'd like to ask?
I maybe have one more point that I should point out. If you want to look at what this land may look like once developed, look at Brighton Community.
Can you speak into the microphone?
sorry.
Just so everybody can hear. Thank you.
If you want to see what this land is possibly going to look like when it is developed, look at Brighton Community in Saskatoon, developed by the same developer, low, medium density housing. And imagine that abutting some of the farms along the creek that have animals. how long do you think they'll be, go before they'll be complaining about the wafting smells and that sort of thing? They're just incompatible.
What was the name of that subdivision that you're talking?
Brighton Developments, Brighton Community.
Thank you.
Who should I give these well reports in the petition to?
To Paige. Paige can grab them. Thank you. Next delegation. Now, Gail is, you're all together? Okay. Okay, Sharon Cook. She was part of it as well. So is that everybody that would like to public speak? Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? I'd like to, yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Please introduce yourself
Ken
and
Morris from Private Estates.
thank you.
I've been a community member for well over 30 years out here. On the boundary alteration agreement dated back in 2015 that was attached to the agenda. I think Paige, you or Shauna, you probably wrote a lot of this, so you may have the answers. When I look at this agreement, it appears to be totally out of date. They talk about, you know, on this Epona Farms, the town center neighborhood is to be built there. I don't believe that's the case anymore. I believe that's up in Betteridge Road. They reference about paving Betteridge Road in 2017. And the last thing I read is it may be paved in 2026. So almost a 10-year delay from the time this agreement was written. And then on item 5, it talks about some reimbursements. And I'm curious, was those ever paid to the RM?
I'll respond to your questions with the amount of information that I have right now. So the 2015 boundary alteration agreement was in relation to different lands, had nothing to do with Epona Farms. The relevance of the 2015 boundary alteration agreement was the town of White City agreed that they would not pursue development going west, that they would pursue development going east. That was the premise of the argument of the RM of Edenwold at the time of the 2018 annexation, which was taking over developed land and undeveloped land. With regards to Betteridge Road, you're right, the Betteridge Road reconstruction and Emerald Park Road reconstruction did not take place in 2017. At the time of the agreement, there was a vision to have those roads constructed in 2017, and there was a cost-sharing agreement between the two municipalities. That did not proceed. So there has been an amendment done to the 2015 boundary alteration agreement with regards to Betteridge Road and Emerald Park Road and cost sharing. So there is no longer a cost sharing component to it. Essentially, the municipality where the road lays is the responsibility of the municipality to do that reconstruction.
And you touched on my final question here. It said that on number 10, the town agrees not to pursue the incorporation of West 15, 17, 18 W2 into White City. And when they did annexation, they did attempt to do that. So how would you classify that attempt? Is that a breach of this agreement?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that, but the application was denied. And again, the RM of Edenwold's position was that because we entered into this agreement White City had indicated that they would not pursue annexation going west. So that was part of the argument of
Yeah.
the RM.
And I agree, that was a very good argument. When they breached this agreement, that can render this agreement voidable. Was any action taken to void this agreement? It's not too late.
The agreement is pretty much completed in its entirety. So there has been a memorandum of understanding done to amend the unfinished items, which related to the reconstruction of the two roads. The last item that's outstanding is the joint intermunicipal development agreement that both municipalities had committed to working on. So that's the only outstanding item.
So the RM, even though White City breached the agreement, you're holding them harmless in doing so.
There,
On number 10.
yeah, I'm not sure that there's much with regard. This is just for all intents purposes, it's a memorandum of understanding. It's a good faith negotiation between two municipalities. So I'm not sure what.
Well, that's my whole point. Is it really nothing in this agreement has really taken place? White City didn't abide by it in this instance throughout the annexation. And now it's being used that we're going to annex this land, even though we basically voided the contract through our previous actions. So that just, to me, opens up the whole door for a renegotiation of the annexation of this land based upon what the committee members have stated and why. And we also need to address all the leafy spurge issues on this land and surrounding lands. He's caused more damage to any private resident than I've ever seen in my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon, did you want to speak? I saw you came in. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Please introduce yourself and you have 10 minutes to present, please. We just need you to turn on your mic.
Oh,
There.
there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Sharon Cook. As a resident of 16 Deneuve Drive, we Peter and I are definitely opposed to this boundary alteration. This letter is to advise. Basically, we as taxpayers of the RM of Edenwold would lose our ability to say what is going to be going on in regards to the zoning in our area. Right now, we are community residential, and we would love and choose to stay that way and stay within the visions of the RM of Edenwold's vision and not the town of White City's vision. We chose this location of living country residential too, with larger lots around us. And we are told that when we purchase the surrounding lots, we would not subdivide into smaller lots. If the proposed annexation or boundary alteration is amended and approved, you're opening the doors to other acreages to be available, to be able to subdivide into smaller lots, forcing us to lose our quality of life as country residential living people. With that regards as well, water, sewer, right now the lots have to be over 3 acres in regards to have the quality or to build wells and to septic infrastructure. And we would definitely lose a lot of our water table. Right now, as in effect, we are down 5 feet from when we started 11 years ago or 12 years ago when we purchased that property. So with the amount of infrastructure as well as the Mother Nature our water level has depleted continuously. And with additional wells and in those common areas involving the north and the east of us, we would be losing a lot of water. And that is huge. We take pride in our property. We work hard on our property to sustain a level of where we, as proud owners, we love a beautiful yard. We love to spend time in the yard. With that becomes, we burn a lot of brush and stuff like that with the community, town of White City. We would be limited to the amount of burning as well as anything that imposes on the town of White City. Basically, the proposed lands are bordered by 2 established RM country residential communities. These neighborhoods were developed with a clear vision for peaceful, low traffic, family-oriented living. White City's plans, however, suggest a significantly different type of development. Again, not in the vision of the RM of Edenwald. Basically, in my eyes, the impact on the property values and residential well-being will definitely be impacted. The proposed annexation or proposed boundary alteration will devalue our property due to increased traffic, incompatibility development. This will reduce privacy, increase stress in our lives, and we have moved here to be for the peace and safety of ourselves and our community. We are not against growth, absolutely not, especially being in the construction business ourselves. We're definitely not against growth. But with that being said, being a part of the community of Deneuve Drive and Escott Estates, we stand firmly united in the safeguarding of our community, our neighborhood integrity. We all stand strongly in opposition of this proposed boundary alteration, and we will advocate to the best for the best decision of the RM of Edenwald's held strong vision. In regards to developing the land or developing that road for annexing or for developing our road on Deneuve Drive so that they can access. There's no reason, if the town of White City is to go forward with this, there's no reason why they would not be able to access it through off of 48 Highway instead of imposing additional traffic and lessening our safety, our children's safety. There's a lot of people from town of White City, as well as the RM of Edenwald, that walk down that road with their dogs, with their families, and with higher traffic volumes, that would no longer be as safe as it is now. I don't have any questions at this time because I don't know what your decisions are. But definitely, if you guys are going to be making decisions in the future, we will definitely come in and stand strongly united as Deneuve Scott community, and we will address additional concerns and questions. Thank you for your time and have a great day.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Seeing none, I would also like to, I'm looking for a motion to acknowledge our written submissions that we have received by the RM. There is, I believe, 7 written submissions. Looking for a motion to acknowledge those submissions.
I can do that.
Thank you.
That we acknowledge the written submissions submitted by Craig Pritchett, sorry if I'm mispronouncing, Gail Kateri, Garrett McKenzie, and Sarah Marshall, Tim Eagleson, Keisha Eagleson, and Ken Morris in regards to the Town of White City boundaries alteration request of Southwest and Southeast 1917 west of the 2nd and Block A Plan 101742320 in Northeast 1817 west of the 2nd.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. All right, we will now move to Karen to present the report regarding the alteration.
All right, so this report is presented to council for consideration to provide a complementary resolution to the Town of White City's boundary alteration request for 3/4 sections of land to the east of the town's jurisdiction and to approve the boundary alteration agreement. On July 29th, the town had provided notice to the RM of its intention to proceed with the process to alter its municipal boundary to include 3/4 sections of land and any roadways negotiated between the town and RM. The town indicates that the proposal is consistent with the intent of the 2015 boundary alteration agreement, which identifies the town's expansion to the east. At the August 12th RM Council meeting, Council approved the formal request, including administration, to establish the terms of a boundary alteration agreement, conditional to public feedback, and that administration proceed with the boundary alteration process as identified in the Municipalities Act. The town held a public meeting on September 2nd and received verbal and written submissions on the proposed boundary alteration. The submissions opposed to the proposal cited several concerns, which are detailed in the town's minutes and are part of this report. The RM has received 6 formal written submissions opposing this boundary alteration request and have been provided to council. And attached is the boundary alteration agreement for council's consideration, which includes key items such as the tax loss compensation, aquifer protection, the effective date, and roads and road allowances included.
Thank you, Karen. Looking for a motion so that we can discuss, please.
I can make that motion that the RM of Edenwold number 158 approves the formal boundary alteration request from the Town of White City for the lands legally described as Southwest 1917 west of the 2nd, Southeast 1917 west of the 2nd, and Block A Plan 101742320 in Northeast 1817 west of the 2nd, along with roads and road allowances described as ORA 5217.17.2, Extension 0, ORA 4617.17.2, Extension 0, Southwest 1917.2, Plan FU, 639, Extension 1, ORA 5117.17 second, Extension 0, and ORA 4517.17 second, Extension 0, and authorizes the REEV and CAO to sign the formal boundary alteration agreement. That's a mouthful.
Thank you. Now, discussion. I'd like to actually go around the table and get everybody's input on their thoughts and feelings on this. Maybe we'll start with you, Darren. Go that way.
Well, I guess my thoughts are that this whole thing is affecting a lot of people, and I guess I'm just, by what I've read and heard, I just don't think that it's a very good thing to go through with.
Tim?
Being one of the old guys on council here, I was actually part of the 2015 annexation kerfluffle that we went through, and I have to admit some of that agreement that we had, it fell off the rails. We always did say, though, that the west we were going to keep for development for Emerald Park and et cetera, and to go east. the one comment that was made about that, that it should null and void the whole agreement. I think that agreement was put in there basically just for reference. And yeah, there's been quite a few things that have been changed on it already and everything. For myself, I don't think I'm ready to totally vote on this. I'd like a little bit more time to go through some of the other submissions. We got one in this morning now, a 4-page one that I haven't read yet either. And yeah, it's I said, a lot of people, you buy an acreage and you want to try to continue the way it was, although growth is going to happen, and we can't stop that. The type of growth is one thing that we might be able to curve, but again, you're not going to stop it all. So yeah, that's about all I got to say.
Thank you. Stephen?
I just thinking about everything. I don't think I'd go for it myself. I'd disapprove of allowing it. But my concern was with the water that you talked about with the wells and stuff. If that's going to be a big issue down the road with whatever White City is planning to do with that, that would be interesting to find out what their plan is first, I guess, and go from there.
Just was going to add one thing. You remind me of the water too. I believe in White City's plan. I think they were going to service the water. Were they not? There was going to be a pipeline going all out for I think water and sewer. I think so. Again, it's going to be because I'm on a well too, but. You wouldn't have any more people drawing from it. I believe it would be more for that the town of White City is going to be supplying that water and everything. So that would be one bonus.
Yeah, I guess one consideration would be if irrigation wells were allowed. So, which is a question. Nicole?
I am not in favor of this. I don't think it's in the best interest of our ratepayers. I am not against growth. I just think it needs to be the right growth that fits in with the character of the area. I think that White City has a lot of years and years of growth over in Royal Park, and I don't think this is necessary at this time.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to agree with just about everything that's been said so far. And listening to the people that are here attending today, I don't see anybody that was for it. So I'd have to go along with that. The majority is against. The next thing is the wells have been brought up. The water table is a very important item. And the next thing I look at is what's the urgency of doing this? Because of all the numbers that have been quoted, it seems like what is really going to happen to that land? Is just going to open it up and have it blow dust all over the place, or what's going to take place? I think it's got to be more consultation, and maybe down the future this is going to happen, but then maybe the people in that area would be more relaxed if they knew exactly what was going on. So that's where I leave it. So at this present time, I would not vote for this motion.
Thank you. Carmen.
I guess I have questions in terms of, and perhaps it's a question for Paige and Karen and Shauna, separating the process between boundary alteration and development. Can someone explain, because I sense that much of this is around, we don't know what this development looks like. And I think it would be helpful for all of us in this room to understand the process differences.
Yeah, I'll maybe start, and if Paige has anything to add, I'll ask Paige to add. So you're absolutely correct. The process of boundary alteration is very separate and different than the process for amending development plans or accepting development applications. To date, we have been told there has not been a development application made. With that being said, the reason boundary alteration request is because there is an intention to develop those lands. We don't know what the development plans are, and I would guess that the developer would not want to proceed with doing any more work or, you know, spending any more money on those concept plans until they know whether this boundary alteration is going to go forward. And I say that because the RM would not be able to allow this type, an urban style development type within the RM, cost prohibitive to service for water and, well, sewer, I guess, is likely an option, but it would still be cost prohibitive to provide water. And again, as we heard, the aquifer would not allow for additional wells, likely. So in order for these lands to develop in a residential or a medium or a low density fashion even, it would have to be through serviced by the town of White City. Now, again, the first step is the boundary alteration. So having those lands incorporated into the town, those lands would then be under the OCP and zoning bylaw of the town. Once that boundary alteration is complete, there may be an application for development. And at that time, there would be another consultative public consultation process that would take place, because not only would the application drive an OCP amendment, a zoning bylaw amendment, and of course, a subdivision application. So all of those entail public consultation. And that public consultation then goes to the province, because the province is the approving authority. So they would have to make the decision. And it isn't only limited to White City residents to provide comment. It would also come to the arm of Edenwold administration for comment and any surrounding public ratepayers.
So the other concern I heard, I think from Sharon, was with regards to the risk or perhaps the perception that the rules of White City suddenly then apply to the residents of Deneb and Escott. Can you speak to that?
Yes, the jurisdiction that Deneb and Escott are in is still the RM. So only the bylaws of the RM would govern rural residents. The town of White City bylaws would not have any weight or jurisdiction within the RM.
So I am already aware of all of this, and I still don't think this is in the best interest at the time, so.
If I can speak, I think at some point, future development's going to happen. However, I think there are a lot of unanswered questions, and I think we need more information, you know, as to what conceivably could go in there and how the town of White City sees it looking and their thoughts on it. So my opinion at this time would be to table this until we have more information, which I think we owe our ratepayers more information as well. That's how I feel.
Just another question, I guess, in terms of the ownership of the roads. Karen, are you able to bring up a map that demonstrates which ones? And then I'll come back to your comment about tabling it, Karen.
Yeah. Yeah. There.
Sorry, I'm just, so for the record, I'm just going to repeat what you're saying so it's caught on the teams. 3/4, okay. 21, yeah, 2180. Southwest 15. And so the one comment that was made as terms of access off of 48. Okay. Okay. Right.
As per the OCD, as nothing that has changed that. The commercial industrial development. Stated by the judge, that is a legal finding. Now, it may change in the future, but by the RM giving up control of the land, we give up controlling the zone. So the crux of our argument is that we're not. We want to develop. That's why we. Yes, the city might have to do. They are not responsible. They should know that they are not. I believe.
So I'm just going to paraphrase back what you said, and you can tell me because it won't have caught it on the mic. But basically, it's you're not opposed to the growth, but you want it done in consultation with the landowners and ratepayers in that area. Is that correct? And controlled by the RM versus town. Okay, thank you. You love your leafy spurge, right, Ken? Okay,
And
thank you.
anything else, Carmen?
No, so I guess a question for you, Shauna, in terms of the process. I had made the motion for discussion. How do I table that then?
So you can just change it to say that you would like this tabled. You could withdraw that motion and make a new motion is what I would recommend being the easiest.
Okay. So then do I have to reread that long motion?
No,
Okay.
just that we'll just record if you're
Okay.
withdrawing it,
Yeah.
that you're withdrawing the motion.
Yeah.
And then you can put a new motion on the table.
That we table, Karen, perhaps help me with some words, that we table,
We table the motion, RM Edenwold approves the formal boundary alteration request from the town of White City for the lands as described.
okay. Karen, can you, Kate, you'll
Yeah.
put it up there for me, Kate, thank you.
Yeah.
So do you want to add any, and I don't want to insert myself, but I've heard a lot about consultation. If there's something, if you want to direct, like if you want to provide comments back to the town of White City saying that you're requesting additional consultation, which is an option in the report, I would suggest that you add that as part of the motion.
So yeah, if you can make that. an
The new
amendment
motion,
To the table.
the new
The
motion,
new motion,
not,
yes.
not the withdrawal.
Yeah, I've withdrawn this one. And
Okay.
I'll just wait for Karen to add that.
Okay.
Thank you for that suggestion, Shauna.
Vision of future development is very strong, and financially you as an RM are more stable, make decisions, and I would stand strongly behind the RM to continue community development of those that lot and not the town of White City.
Thank you. We're going to proceed here with our motion to request further consultation.
Just a clarification, Shauna, I think this is directing White City's administration versus our administration.
Yes, correct. This is all a request from the town of White City. we do not have the relationship with the proposed developer. We would provide circulation information, but we would ask that it's their request. They need to prove why they need it and answer any questions, have more of an information meeting as opposed to a hearing.
Okay. That the RM of Edenwold number 158 table the decision on the formal boundary alteration request from the town of White City for the lands legally described as Southwest 19, 17, 17 west to the 2nd, Southeast 19, 17, 17 west to the 2nd, and Block A, Plan 101742320 in Northeast 18, 17, 17 west to the 2nd, along with roads and road allowances described as ORA 52, 17, 17-2, Extension 0, ORA 46, 17, 17-2, Extension 0, Southwest 19, 17, 17-2, Plan FU 639, Extension 1, ORA 51, 17, 17-2, Extension 0, and ORA 45, 17, 17-2, Extension 0, and directs the town of White City's administration to engage in public consultation prior to revisiting the application.
Thank you. With that, Shauna, would that also allow us the RM to provide some questions to White City's administration? Would this motion allow for that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Including proposed zoning?
Sorry, your question is, could we?
Proposed zoning for that area is?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if zoning is very specific to the development. So I don't know how far along the development plans have been taken.
Any other questions on the motion? I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda, now, I don't know, Sean, if we want to do we want to start the 3 minutes before the,
Wait for 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Want to maybe have a quick recess?
or just wait 3 minutes here?
Because
We're,
just inform.
yeah. Okay, we've got a public hearings at 10 a.m. and the time being 9:57. We're just going to take a 3 minute here short break before we enter into the public hearing portion of our meeting. For 3 minutes.
Motion for a 3-minute break.
Thank you, Tim. All in favor? Yeah. Yeah. The first one we are going to start with is bylaw number 2025-12, zoning bylaw text amendment, hydrovac waste disposal facilities. Are there any written submissions?
No.
Thank you. Any verbal submissions? Thank you. Please step up and introduce yourself and turn on the mic so that we can all hear you. Thank you.
My name's Mark Ferner.
You can sit.
I work for, well, I guess my wife and I own Thomas Sand and Gravel. I guess this bylaw would affect us. We currently do accept hydrovac mud at our gravel pit. We have for probably a good 20 years. Kind of noticed we're in the sensitive aquifer, I guess you would say, that would pertain to this bylaw. I guess just a few points I'd like to address that how we do things out there. We just have a couple companies now that we whittled things down, whittled them down to a select few that are really good companies to work with. We only accept waste for, well, not waste, but I mean, it should be called waste. It's byproduct from clean virgin land. So it's not coming from anywhere contaminated. We request documentation or addresses where these things come from before they come on our site. We try to be fairly responsible in that aspect. Really rainy days, we shut things down to reduce the impact on RM roads and our facility as well. It's dumped into clay lined pits. This material, which is all virgin, it's just basically mud, water, rock, etc. So this clay lined pit, they don't leach. We've never had an issue with that or anything breaching these pits. And then what we do with the byproduct after with the dried material is we use it to reclaim our pit. So it turns it into a usable space. You can grow things on it if you want. We store our aggregates in these older areas. Yeah, and I mean, I guess I'd just like to point out one other thing is there is a large sewage site that is within 3/4 of a mile of our facility as well. So I mean, that's kind of, I figure that would have a little more impact on the environment than what we're doing, but I mean, just like to point out a few of these issues that you're not issues, but points that how we try to be responsible in the collection of this stuff. So, and then we are repurposing it for reclaiming the land. So.
Thank you. Do you have a written report that you want to submit?
I don't. I
No?
just kind of wanted to voice. Just.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, I was just going to ask you a question now. This product, does it compact once it's dry and everything?
It does. It does, like the weeds grow on it. I mean, it does compact fairly well for, like, we have our area over in the I guess the east side of our gravel pit there. It's all been basically reduced to clay, and it's just unusable, and nothing grows there, and it's just, I'd like to reclaim it. So this is kind of one of the ways we were trying to start doing this, and you get good you can drive on it. It works very well, but it takes, like, basically what we do is we have a cell and we'll open it up, and once it's full or whatever, we let it sit for about 2 or 3 years and let it just harden up, and then we just build another one beside it and beside it. And
Mark, when you said that there's a large sewage site within 3.5 kilometers, you're talking about the Pilot Butte Lagoon?
yeah, that's actually not even 3.5. It's about about 3/4 of a mile.
Oh, sorry.
Correct. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said you've whittled it down to a couple of companies that you choose to deal with, and what was your rationale to that?
We've heard things about some other companies that were doing things not on the straight and narrow, so we decided to just not deal with them. We've also had other companies come out, and they decide to come out on muddy days and this and that, and they're dragging mud onto the road, and I don't want any complaints. So we go out and clean it up right away, and they've been warned numerous times, so we just let them go. They don't want to listen. We don't want any trouble with the RM. So.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Any other verbal responses? Seeing none, should we do a motion for each? Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'd like a motion for no written, 1 verbal. Thank you.
We had no written and 1 verbal submission.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Next public hearing is bylaw number 2025-12. Sorry, 2025-15, zoning bylaw map change, lot 1, block 3, plan 82R 55377, extension 1, 2 South Plains Road, shopping center to shopping center by contract. Any written submissions, Paige?
I have one.
Thank you.
It reads, "Good morning, Reeve, council, and staff in attendance. I am strongly against any consideration for the proposal to change the existing zoning designation SC Shopping Center to SCC Shopping Center by contract. This property has been one of the most unsightly in Emerald Park for more than a decade. Some people in the room might consider this traditional Emerald Park. I don't. It has always been my vision to clean up South Plains Road and make it more appealing when entering Emerald Park. Approving this change would be moving in the opposite direction, and I'm sure the property will even get worse, not better. Another consideration is what are the contents of these shipping containers? Who regulates this? Can our CSOs do inspections? With all the drug, guns, and stolen merchandise charges in Regina recently, 15 minutes from Regina is way too convenient for these types of illegal activities to be placed in our community. Thank you for considering my comments when making your decision. Rod Tusher."
Thank you. Any other written? None. Any verbal submissions? Anybody wanting to speak? Seeing none. Looking for a motion for one written and no verbal submissions, please. Tim?
Yeah, I make motion, one written and no verbal submissions for.
All in favor? Motion is carried. And that concludes the public hearing portion of our meeting. We are now going to go back to item 6.2, Bridlewood Estates Additional Service Area Proposal. We will begin with the delegations. Introduce yourself, please, and give your report.
Good morning. My name is Alt Tangedal. Most of you probably know me at some point, hockey rinks. Thank you for meeting with me today. I am here representing the community of Bridlewood Estates. I've been a resident of Bridlewood for 20 years now. Seems like it went by pretty fast. Thanks for a lovely new road, by the way. So just to give a little bit of background on our request for the additional service areas, Bridlewood Estates has been serviced by a well pump house and distribution system originally constructed by our developer, John Hastings. John and Bev have been making vibes for a number of years already about wanting to retire, at least not operate the plant anymore. John does all the normal testing. When the well was originally constructed, it fell under public health. Pretty simple process at that time for John. He was licensed or had the license requirements to do the testing. When the Walkertons North Battlefords happened years ago, public health transferred all of that requirement over to WSA. John has been consistently offside with WSA over the years, either not registering or not being licensed. And unfortunately, it's led to lots of hard feelings. The big issues are that the plant is not up to current standard. The residents of Bridlewood Estates, and I've done a survey monkey that's been provided to everyone to see that we are largely in favor of taking this over. The community has been through lots with this whole issue. It's been going on for 4 or 5 years in our discussions with John. John's recently made some advancements in terms of having the property rezoned, which came through council. So we have been much more active in the last year on trying to put this together. We are still well in the process of developing bylaws, legal agreements, things like that. But one of the things that we're anxious to do is ensure that if we're going to take over this plant, we have a plan upgrade things and make sure that we're in full compliance with WSA. There was a report done a number of years ago by MPE Engineering, just as a requirement for WSA and what was needed, what was required. And at that point in time, they identified some additional filtration, ultraviolet treatment of the water, recommended a generator, those types of things. Because anytime we have a failure on power, which has been much improved lately, but there's a failure in power, you always run the risk of some contamination. We've been under a boil water order for probably most of the last 5 to 7 years, just consistently because of not upgrading the plant. So we've gone through the process. We've got Elements Water Systems has provided us a full proposal to upgrade the plant. I had to amend my ask here a little bit last week because we just finally got our quote in for the generator, and it was about 8,000 higher than we originally proposed. So to cut to the quick, I guess Bridlewood Estates is asking for support from the RM through the additional service area to provide us with a $68,501 grant, I guess you will, that we will repay back over 3 years on our taxes. We used the same process when we did fiber optics about 8 or 9 years ago. Yeah. It was a fantastic process and a tremendous thing for any community to have that opportunity. We've got a large buy-in by most of our community for going this process. Most everybody doesn't want to shell out, a few $1,000s right out of their pocket. They'd rather do this slowly. It's going to amount to about $900 or so on taxes in a year for 3 years, which is pretty reasonable for most people. So we will be collecting some funds from our residents just for the purpose of sort of seed money to go through our legal work that we're doing now and things like that. So you'll see in our budgets, we've got one for the actual capital, one for operating. Most of the operating numbers have been taken from the information we received from John and Bev. We believe it's reasonably accurate. Challenge we have is that they kind of smear things a little bit with their farm operations. So, we're anticipating there'll be a little bit of profit at the end of every year that we can build up kind of a reserve and we'll get a little bit of money from each of our residents to get started. So that's the long and short of it. So if you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Elton. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you going to have a full-time operator or?
Currently John does the daily testing, and we have a hired guy, let's say, that comes in once a week who's a licensed guy, and we can anticipate using that same process, other than it will be the residents of Bridlewood Estates that will be doing the daily testing, and we'll still have that hired gentleman to come in. So everybody will be trained to do the testing properly and record it properly. Again, like every volunteer thing, we've got less than full support for everybody doing it. So we'll be working out something monetary manner for those that do a little extra. So.
Anybody else have any questions? Carmen, did you have a question? Okay, thank you. All right, I'm seeing no more questions. Thank you, Alton, for your presentation. I'm going to look now to Karen to present the report, please.
Thanks, Paige. Okay, this report is to provide an overview of the additional service area, or an ASA, the establishment process, and the proposal being presented by the residents of Bridlewood Estates. So ASAs are designated areas within an RM that require different or separate services from the remainder of the RM. The additional services are funded through a special levy or fee schedule that applies only to the properties benefiting from the service. The RM pays the capital costs of the installation up front, and the residents pay back the taxes in full over a defined period. And as an example, Alton had said the fiber optics was done as an ASA. We've reviewed the proposal, and this proposal meets the intent of the ASA regulations in the Municipalities Act, as it provides a different service than areas outside of the proposed ASA. We've outlined the process to establish an ASA. In the past, the RM has applied a 5% one-time interest rate for a 3-year term. So we've shown like what the total would be, and then what the amount levied each year. With this new amount of 68.5, it's approximately $1,000 per property for the 3 years. In accordance with the Municipalities Act, a public meeting must be held to share information and answer questions residents may have, and the RM must also provide notice of its intent to consider a bylaw establishing an ASA. So administration is recommending to include the cost in the 2026 budget, and to be directed to prepare the ASA bylaw for a future council meeting in 2026.
Thank you. Looking for a motion so that we can discuss, please.
I can make it. That 68,500, that's the right number? Okay. Be added to the 2026 budget to cover the initial capital outlay required for Bridlewood Estates to upgrade its water treatment and distribution facilities, with the full amount plus interest to be recovered through the establishment of an additional service area, and that administration be directed to prepare an additional service area bylaw defining the area and the terms of the additional service area to be considered by council at a future meeting.
Discussion. Anybody have any questions?
I guess maybe this question is for Alton. You had said that originally it was like $900 per household, and
Again, would just still, that was a bit of a moving
Okay,
target.
but
So originally when we asked for, it was 800 till we got our actual quote for the generator on Friday.
okay,
It was roughly 875. So,
yeah,
I'm not doing the RMs. So if it ends up being $1,000.
yeah, it's not going to make or break from a homeowner's perspective.
No.
Okay, I didn't think it would, but I just wanted to
I
clarify.
can ask Ken. Is it
No.
going to make or break? Okay, thanks.
I've got a couple questions. Is there a chance that like this figure may increase? Like, do we have all the hard costs yet?
You're right. These are budget numbers, so we don't
Right.
have the actual numbers, which is why we aren't passing a bylaw today, because we don't know what the actual costs are, and that bylaw has to have the actual costs. Now, a public hearing will be held before the bylaw is considered, so we can make sure that all of the residents that are going to be impacted know what the actual impact is and are still okay with it to move forward.
Okay, another question I have, and just out of interest, does there have to be a certain percentage of residents in agreement with this before it goes forward?
So in the guide, there is no percentage. For us, we did the percentage for the fiber optics because it's a non-essential service.
Okay.
This we feel is a essential service. So, but there is nothing in the guide that has to have a percentage.
Okay, thank you.
Just so you know, Karen, that 80% was still our mark on this one. We actually, of the 23 residents, we had 21 respond, and I think 20 were in favor. So.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's good. Oh, the cost. Just to speak to the cost. So we do have quotes from Elements Water and Shorty Electric on the generators. We did add a little bit of money to Elements just because they said there's probably a 10% increase. So that one has some built in where the Shorty generator one does not.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any other questions?
I'm just going to make a comment with the ASA. I've been part of those in the past, and I think it's a very good way that we can have a select group can better their community and everything. And this is definitely one of the ways that will help get some needed upgrades, and it's going to be put over a 3-year period, which helps the residents out then too. And quite frankly, that's part of what we're trying to do here is help our residents the best we can.
Thank you. Looking for,
Just one, Stan, you gotta, okay. Just a question, is it required, like if the costs come in and it's 100 grand as an example, are we obligated to stick to the 3-year payback period, or can we go to 4 or 5?
We could negotiate a different term. We've always stuck with the 2 or 3 year with the fiber optics. So this is a totally separate one. So we could negotiate that.
and that would be providing that those numbers come in during our budget time, our budget period.
All of the terms of like the interest rate we use and the repayment would all be outlined in the bylaw. And of course, if we could update the figure before we approve the budget, we will, but we'll just use the best figure that we have at that time.
Good. Thank you. Questions? I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Looking for a motion to take a 10-minute break. Thank you. Okay. We're now going to start with planning and development. 8.1, we are going to do bylaw number 2025-12, zoning bylaw text amendment, hydrovac waste disposal facilities. Paige.
Thank you. So this bylaw amendment is to amend the zoning bylaw for the hydrovac waste disposal facility text amendment. So following the public hearing that we had, where Mark submitted a verbal submission. I'm not going to go through the report in detail. The bylaw is attached. This bylaw provided development standards for hydrovac waste disposal and adding it to as discretionary in certain zoning districts in the zoning bylaw. Are there any questions?
I'm looking for a motion and then we will discuss. Someone would like to make the motion?
Sure.
Tim?
Yeah, that bylaw 2025-12, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2019-20, known as the zoning bylaw to add hydrovac waste disposal facility as use in the zoning bylaw with associated development standards, be given second reading.
Thank you. Discussion.
Well, I was just gonna, with this bylaw, okay, Mark had said that, you know, they're in that area. And is there any discretion that we can put in there as far as, you know, the, if you are in that type of area, and as long as it's not going to be a you know, something that's a major concern, is there something that we can do for that? Because I know the one at Balgoni, that one is fairly in depth, I believe. It's quite, but they're outside the water area and stuff. So I think he had a good point, you know, that with the two Pilot Butte's 2 lagoons being so close to them and stuff too. That would be more of an environmental impact than the 2 or 3 customers that he has doing. And he had actually told me that one of his customers is that fellow that was doing all the dumping just down the road.
Straight north.
Yeah, that's, so he's now one of Mark's customers, and he said that he makes sure that they have to have their all their paperwork in order and stuff too, and if they don't have the complete paperwork, he won't accept it. So I think that, they're going on the right track. He said it isn't a real big money maker for him, but it's like the old thing. You get a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. You put it together, you get a living. So that's the only thing. Is there any discretion that we can do in this?
So as the text amendment is written right now, no. But we can amend the text amendment to add that discretion if that's the direction from council. Right now it's written that it's not permitted an overlay area, which he is located within. Yeah.
I guess a comment I would have is, and Mark touched on that, is he does only deal with 2 or 3 because there are several companies out there that don't follow the rules. So if we make an exception for one, to what end? Like, how do we control that? Would be a question I'd have.
Yeah. Any discretionary use process, as council's aware, comes through council for approval first. We would have to have application requirements that would need to be submitted. That would be potentially companies that they will work with. Of course, the challenge with anything like that is enforcement, right? Our CSOs would have to catch someone not on their list, dumping it. And of course, that's the difficult part, is the enforcement after issuing that permit.
Exactly. I have one other question for you, Paige. Last weekend, our significant water event, hydrovac trucks were used to mitigate water. So how would we, or how would that affect this bylaw if we had flooding again and needed to use those trucks and they're only moving water? How does that affect this bylaw?
Yeah, that's the tricky question. So right now it wouldn't be allowed under this bylaw. However, we can do some more research into emergency measures and what's considered an emergency to use those hydrovac to dump into municipal stormwater areas. But it wasn't taken into consideration during the preparation of the amendment. Good timing with Mother Nature, but
yes.
Yeah, it wasn't taken into consideration. Of course, the municipality was removing the water to ensure that properties weren't flooding, right? So it was a unique situation where we were ensuring that there was a reduced level of property damage.
So, however, I mean, it is only water, but given the way this new zoning bylaw would read, it would prohibit it in the development overlay area. So, my concern would be maybe that is something we should direct administration to do, is to go back and add something for emergency measures.
Yep, I think that's a great idea. Those hydrovac trucks were going nonstop.
Just on that though, Paige, if I look to under background there, hydrovac slurry is a mix of 60% liquid and 40% solid. Would that not address, like in the case that we're doing emergency water removal?
If it's purely water, it wouldn't be considered hydrovac slurry. Think. Again, like the problem is that we haven't considered it fully to like see where it would fall. And
well, and arguably there might be a situation from an emergency perspective that we would have within the municipality slurry that we would have to remove. So I guess that circles back to having you guys take another look at this.
Yeah, from that emergency perspective, and see if we can find any other municipalities that have an amendment in their zoning bylaw with that consideration. Yeah, because it is really important for the municipality to have the
emergency measures.
Yeah, super important. We just have to make sure that we're also in compliance with our zoning bylaw when we do that.
Right.
Was there already a motion made for this, Tim? Yeah, so do you want to shoot it down then?
So again, same process as before. You can withdraw that and you can make a motion to table second and third reading to a future meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna either let it die on the table, or I'll basically table this motion and or not table.
Withdraw.
Yeah, so
I'll withdraw the motion. And I guess I'd like to make a motion that we get planning to revamp this a little bit more and take a look at the areas. Being that I just got the copy of our emergency measures thing too, that maybe is something that we could maybe add to that then too. Just in case, you know, in an emergency situation that we have to do those discharges. Yeah, but yeah.
I just want to be clear for administration that the direction is to take a look at perhaps changing it from prohibitive to discretionary in the development overlay area. Is that what we're looking at?
Again, I have to agree with you. If we do it for one, it's gonna, but you know, Mark I know is you know, he's pretty honest guy, and he said it's not their main business by no means, but it's a little bit. If you want to look at that, we can do something like that, and it would have to be on a discretionary use, you know, take a look and just see. But as far as the moving the water and stuff, we really need to have that in for emergency situation. We have to have that part of it. So that would be one of the things I'd.
Okay, so just to be clear, we're going to have a tabling motion with administration directed to amend the bylaw to consider discretionary use rather than prohibitive use in the development overlay area and dumping in emergent situations.
If I can ask for one additional element to that, when I saw it in the bylaw, I didn't feel like the road haul allowance or agreement was strong enough. So if we could relook at that. It's alluded to, but it's not really firm because the amount that stuff is significant.
Yep. We can word that differently. Some stronger language.
You're going to pull it up, Karen? Thank you.
All right, it might need some tweaking, so we'll just take a look at what we've written right now.
That looks good to me. Is any additions or anything that anybody wants to make?
Just with that tweak around relooking at the road haul agreement.
The road haul agreement portion. I believe the bylaw currently reads may require.
It's kind of
Generation of heavy traffic hydrovac trucks on municipal grid roads. That's all it says. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you were looking for must require,
stronger.
Not may.
Yeah.
I think that looks good.
How does that look,
Yep.
Tim?
Okay, I'll make a motion that bylaw 2025-12, a bylaw amending bylaw 2019-20, known as the zoning bylaw, to add hydrovac waste disposal facility as a use in the zoning bylaw with associated development standards be tabled, and further that we direct administration to amend the bylaw to consider making it prohibited to discretionary use in the development area, development overlay area, and dumping in emergency situations and revisit the road haul agreement requirements in the bylaw.
Thank you.
Can I just make one recommendation to the wording? I
Mm-hmm.
think it should say, consider changing it from prohibitive to discretionary is I believe, the intent of the motion. Is that correct, Tim? Okay.
Discussion? Any questions, anybody? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next, 8.2, bylaw number 2025-15, zoning bylaw map change, Lot 1, Block 3, Plan 82R 55377, Extension 1, to South Plains Road, shopping center to shopping center by contract. Paige, you have a report.
Yes, thank you. Prior to my report, I just want to provide some information to council regarding the correspondence that I had with Building and Technical Standards, which is the provincial government department that oversees the building code. So this was in regarding to sea containers. According to building standards, sea containers do not comply with Part 9 of the National Building Code and therefore require supplementary documentation to support permitting applications. This means that a building permit is mandatory for sea containers, accompanied by evidence confirming that the structure is sound. So following this information, planning and development will undertake a comprehensive assessment of both existing and new sea containers to determine the appropriate course of action based on this guidance from the provincial government. This evaluation will take time and resources from planning and development, and we will bring a report to council once complete. It is important to clarify that the matter of sea containers and permitting requirements is separate from this contract zone. Regardless if the contract zone is approved or denied from council, the analysis into the permitting of sea containers will still occur. So they are separate issues at the table today, with the permitting of sea containers being sent to planning and development for an assessment and a strategy moving forward. And I have no information to council to speak to that strategy and assessment at this time.
So no questions.
Well, you can ask them, but
I'm going to ask them anyways. It don't matter. I'm going to ask it.
I'm no CCAN expert right now, so.
Well, okay. Put your seat pans on. Yeah. So now PVR is going to be doing the inspections on these things. Then is that basically what's going to happen, or?
We don't have an assessment or a plan yet, Tim. I'm not sure what we're going to do with this yet. I need a lot more information from the provincial government before I can even start assessing or coming up with a strategy and implementation plan.
Okay, so I just was curious if you know, if we're going to have to get somebody new to do these inspections, you know, and again, what the cost is going to be of that and everything, and that is. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any branch or anything of inspections that does the sea containers.
Yeah, so our building official, professional PBI, so professional building inspections, they would do the inspections. And since it has an associated building permit with it, the fees would be collected just like a normal building permit. So the fees would be covered by the applicant. If we go down that road, that's the process with a building permit. Again, we have to do the assessment and come up with a strategy for sea containers.
So I guess basically it would be if they're structurally sound, how much rust is on them and different things like that. That
your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of guessing at, you know, because when they're new, they're all, you know, they have a certain standard that they have to be following for weight restrictions and all that stuff. But as they start getting old and people, there's a reason why they're selling them, is because they're not up to standard as far as you know, using them on the ships anymore and stuff. So
of course, like an unsafe condition, that will one of the things that we look at, right? The RM's goal is ensuring that everyone is safe and the public safety aspect of things. So that would take a priority level on the assessment as well as how to deal with those situations.
That's not what we're discussing today. You just wanted to make us aware of it.
Yep.
You guys are taking it. And there was lots of emails going around with different information. And I had found too that, you know, in some cases municipalities allow under zoning rules without requiring the full part 9 compliance, you know, just as grandfathering them in. So I'm assuming that's all you guys, you're going to look into it, report back to us.
Yep.
But in the meantime, we're just going to focus on
The rezoning
the
application.
rezoning application.
Yep, you got it.
Perfect.
Stan?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that council move into camera to discuss the rezoning application. Okay, I'll repeat it then. That council move into camera at this time to discuss the rezoning application.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is passed. We'll be moving into camera to discuss. Did he leave? Okay, 8.2, we will go back to 8.2 bylaw 2025-15 zoning bylaw map change. You can bring up the bylaw. Okay. We are looking for a motion to,
I think the
you got something new? Okay. All right, good, thank you. Okay, we are looking for a motion regarding bylaw 2025-15. Stan? Okay,
Just wait. Yep, okay. Here we go. Excuse me, I gotta get my voice clear. Okay. Okay, I can make the motion now?
Yep.
Okay. That the contract will only be valid for the current owner, Carl Key, I guess it is, Choki. And that such time the transfer of ownership, the parcel will be rezoned back to shopping center by the municipality. That the deadline be added to the development permit for the completion of the conditions listed in the sections 6.0 supplementary regulations or special regulations. Okay, and that second and third reading of bylaw 2025-15 be tabled to a future council meeting.
thank you. Discussion?
Just a question in terms of the deadline for the completion of the conditions. Did we have that in the prior agreement? Do you know? I can't remember.
I think so.
Okay. I guess then a question I have is how do we ensure enforcement of those deadlines?
So first of all, we're going to have to negotiate what a reasonable deadline is, and we'll add that to the contract and bring, that'll come back to council for consideration. And then enforcement would be orders to remedy.
Discussion? Anybody else have any questions? I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried. Engineering and Public Works.
Good afternoon, council.
Good morning.
We're usually up a little bit earlier, but no problems. Just a little update on Public Works over the last couple of weeks. So for the urban roadways, we've been completing road repairs. So we had a contractor do some of the larger repairs. They're complete on those now. Also underway on our crack sealing program. Should be completed this month, so made good progress on that. We've been able to complete some pathway extensions, so the mission pathway is complete. The only one remaining that we didn't get done is in front of the tennis courts. The timing of when we got the Enbridge approval and having to prep the site didn't align with when the contractor was able to fit the other pathway work in. So they're still scheduled to come back in October to finish that piece off. And then, in Emerald Park, dealing with the rainfall event over September 12th to 13th. So, starting Friday afternoon and into the evening, we had to mobilize crews and contractors in order to mitigate some of the flooding and potential building damage that was happening. So we were able to keep the lift stations operational. Haven't had a lot of communications from anybody on basement backups. We don't always until insurance claims start to come in, but for now it's been very quiet on that front. In the rural, still been grading, graveling, and mowing. So still looking to complete everything we need to by end of October here. And cold storage shop is complete. So we've started moving some equipment in there already. Still some site work to clean up on our end, but that'll continue this year and into next year with some fencing and stuff like that as well. Civic addressing, this says in the report, about 150 signs still to complete. So continue to make progress with our contractor on that. And then for water and sewer, having issues with the copper sands water meter, that's being dealt with through warranty as well as the developer, as it was their responsibility to put it in and protect it. So continuing to kind of work to a final solution with that with them. And currently there's a water main break on Aspen Village Drive. So we have a contractor lined up to make that repair this week. It's a slow leak, not impacting the system, but it will be impacting the roadway and some repairs that we'll have to do after excavation and completion of that repair is done.
So when I got called over there, I looked at the road and like it was all bubbling up. And did that actual water main actually break the road? I guess it'd have to be dug up anyways to fix it, but did it crack the road?
Yeah, the water made its way all the way to surface for sure. Yeah, whether that crack was there before and it just found the path of least resistance is probably more likely what happened. But we did test the water and it came positive for chlorine, so we do know it is water main break.
Questions?
Yeah, I'm taking questions, so.
You got the mic. Okay, so I just wanted to address, so I had a conversation with Ben after the flood, and I think I sent an email about this, but I think I did, I'm not, anyways, I will let everybody know anyway. So there, between hole 1 and hole 2, there used to be like, for all the golfers in the room, there used to be like a dip that you drive on in the golf course. And in the event of flooding, that was actually part of the flood plan. The water rushes through there. That was part of the plan. So some of the issues were that somebody filled in that dip and put a culvert in. And so the culvert isn't big enough to, that's why we had some backup over there. The culvert wasn't big enough. So it was supposed to be a dip. So maybe do you want to reach out to Tom about that? Because in the event that this happens again, which it will, because I would consider this a 100-year flood. Would you? 50-year flood? I was huge. So anyways, the fact that the drainage was messed with caused some of the backup on Emerald Park Road. So if you want to reach out to Tom about that, and then I don't know who put the culvert in, if it was the golf course or the RM, but we should look at maybe looking at that. And then also I was told that, okay, so it was 55 hours for this to drain out over here by the IGA and Western Pizza. I was told that originally the original drainage plan actually took water down South Plains, and there was a culvert, and the culvert went under South Plains, behind the dog park, back this way, under the number 1 highway, north of Pilot Butte, and ended up in that water supposed to end up in the Wascana. And the culvert's gone off of South Plains. That was what I was told the original drainage plan was. And there's a swale out here that it would have hit. And so maybe reach out to Tom about that too. So when they redid the road, did they take the culvert out? I was told that wasn't the original drainage plan, and if the culvert was still there, it wouldn't have flooded down there. So can you reach out to him and see? I was supposed to go with Tom and Ben for a tour to look at all this stuff, but I think Ben's in the combine, so maybe it would be helpful if you reached out to Tom.
Okay.
If you want a few comments on the water, I had a report which I'm going to send to you and to Rod. It was from Rob Seguin. He lives in Rock Point on the east side, the log cabin. Really nice man, and he's done drone work with flooding, and so really informative. Anyways, he did a whole study while it was raining Friday and Saturday, and he took videos, and he walked out in the rain with his shovel and and the culverts and so on. So I'm going to pass that on to you. Like at our point of, I think it was 5.5 inches, he said it's handling it right now because he's got a drainage pond on his property approved by the RM. But he said if we'd have got more than that, then there would have been some problems. So I'm going to send you guys those reports, those pictures and videos, so you can have a look at it, because he felt it was maybe just a little bit of loader work really for the culvert. I think when it hit the 2183, it was sort of backing up right there. So I'll send that to you guys, and you can have a look at it for future.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I actually just wanted to mention too that I actually found the surface drainage fascinating to watch it work. I did. I thought it actually it was fascinating. I was out there driving around watching everything, but it works really well. Surface drainage, like when you think of even it's timeless. It's why our taxes can be lower here, because we don't have all that underground infrastructure and then again, when 50 years or whatever, you have to replace all of that. I think overall, I thought it worked well and was fascinating to watch it all in play in a big event like this. And if we can, we've circled a few areas of concern. If we can get those sorted out, I think that everything worked really well. I was actually quite impressed.
That, and we shouldn't follow Regina's lead and have any underpasses.
I have a couple of comments and questions. So first of all, thank you. The parking lot dip has been addressed, so thank you. And I saw the Surbu turnoff there was also addressed, which is great because I do go home that way a fair amount. With regards to the remaining 150 signs, is Logan planning on doing them this year, or is that a next year thing?
He's out there right now, so he's going hard right now. So he came and got all the rest of the posts in our yard. So he should have the majority of the signs. We've been ordering more signs as we've been finding more acreages and stuff like that we missed in our original sort of thing. He doesn't want to do anything more than what he originally bid on. So
I just want to add to that, though. I think we've done some analysis, and at the rate that he's been installing, there's no way that he'll have everything done before the end of the year. So this will be a project that will move.
Possibly will continue to next year, yeah.
So if that's the case, if I can ask, because we've set the expectations with our rural ratepayers that this is going to be something done, it's supposed to be done last year, it's supposed to be done this year. If we can reach out to those remaining landowners when we know who's left and say, hey, we're on it for next year, so that we're looping back to them and they feel like they're not being forgotten.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I've had a few of the ratepayers reach out to me. Well, I thought I was getting a sign. I said, well, it's come. Well, everybody else has them. Well, yeah, it's we're trying, and I've been trying to give an update of when we get updates, and we have 150 left to go, and yeah, you're one of the 150. So
I got a complaint from a ratepayer about the signs actually. He wants to know why signs are being put up at yard sites that don't even have a house. And they're placed in wrong locations at culverts where RRM's gonna have to cut the grass and get run over. But he says there's lots out there that there's no buildings on. Why are they there?
Yeah, we've inspected and noticed a few mistakes and changes that we've brought to the contractor's attention. So in saying that, please have him notify us of any that he feels are incorrectly placed, or that any ratepayer that notices a sign that maybe is in a location that doesn't seem correct. If we're notified, then we can at least inspect and verify or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that Lee has put forward some communication material out there in terms of how to read and understand them. I finally get my own, so.
More to do on your report, Clark?
I got one, same ratepayer. He was, and that's how, I was gonna bring it up at the round table, but Rod's here now too, so. Grading of the dirt roads up in his area. He said he's only seen a grader once, and with the harvest and everything going on, he'd like to see something done around his place. It's Irwin's Hour.
Yeah, we're on the dirts this week. Yeah.
I have an idea as to why the grader engine died.
Actually, I got off the phone with our salesman just like an hour ago. So good news, John Deere has recognized that this engine failure, should not have happened. It's very early in the hours, 6,700 hours. If it was 13,400 hours, then they'd say whatever. So John Deere has acknowledged that it's an early failure for the engine to fail. So they are going to come back to us, and I don't know what that means just yet, but we will find out later this week. As soon as I find out, I'll let council know. But it sounds like I think we were trying, like, doing some different options, whether we could just keep some of the block or keep some of the components and that sort of thing. But I think we should just put in a new engine, and then we got a new engine because we replaced the tandems about 3,000 hours in. So all of the tandems were all pooched and we got those all replaced. So the engine's the grader's in very good. Once a new engine goes in, it'll be a very good engine or a very good grader. So I think we'll probably like keep that till like 2028 or something. So, but John Deere is going to come back to us. They'll tell us exactly how much they're going to contribute to this repair. So, so that's good news, and that's coming right from the factory, coming right from John Deere Inc. So
we won't make a decision until we hear from them, right?
Yeah, we won't until we hear from them exactly. So yeah.
Thank you.
By any chance, was that thing built on a Friday? Do you have a ballpark of what a new motor's worth?
$86,000.
So just in terms of, we're not going to get this fixed for a while, do we need to, I think Al had asked this last council meeting, do we need to rent a grader?
Well, we're short staffed right now. We're short 2 guys in the rural shop, so we're fine with 3 right now. So.
Any other questions for Clark or Rod? Stan?
Just kudos going out to our maintenance staff. I've had about 3 different ratepayers comment about how good the roads have been as far as the proper grades and stuff of or the proper crown and everything. In that big rain event that we had, our roads stood up very well. And you know, mine especially, I was quite happy the way it held up, and yeah, and say there's been three different ratepayers have called and just say, good going, guys, you know, and you can pass it on to your staff and everything.
Yeah, certainly will.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Okay, I see on here where you're still doing some patching and stuff in urban areas. Okay, crack sealing, etc. I noticed that when they did Park Meadows and Meadow Ridge, they missed a few spots.
Okay, I can come out there and take a look with you, Stan, if you want.
Good, thank you. That's all I had. And then another one is, did they seed grass on the ditch slopes on off Kennedy?
Yeah, we have a Rapid Lawn was supposed to hydro seed that. So it's supposed to be done, I think, yesterday.
Yeah.
But might not have done it. They might.
I don't think it's done yet, but
Okay.
it's sure looking a lot better.
Yeah, I'll harass Monty, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Looking for a motion to accept the Public Works report? Nicole,
That we accept the Public Works report as presented.
all in favor? Motion is carried.
Okay, we'll move on to Public Works Report 25-19. So this is for the purchase of a salt sander for the Emerald Park truck. This wasn't initially contemplated in our 2025 purchasing plan, but we are looking to just defer another purchase in lieu of this one. So we were going to purchase a snowblade, but we feel that this purchase is a bit more of a priority for this year. The price difference between the two is less than a couple $100, so it's the equivalent kind of fits within the budget of the 2025 equipment list. So that's what this report speaks to here.
Looking for a motion so we can discuss.
I mean,
Thank you, Stephen.
that RM accept the quotation from Fort Garry Industries for $13,992, PST included, for the purchase of a 2025 Western Marauder S400C spreader.
Thank you. Discussion?
One question I had, because we had a gas operated motor on there before, are you going to have to upgrade the alternator and charging system and everything for that truck? Or are you going to have a remote one? And if you are, what's going to be the cost of that then?
No, it'll run right off the truck alternator. So, and the alternator and battery that we have in that truck will be suffice for it.
Would it be advisable to maybe have a second battery just so that you're not going to kill the truck battery and have it jointly in there?
Well, I could check with Fort Garry, but I think he had said it just runs off the electrical system off the truck. So as the alternator is working, it's charging, so it should work. Yeah.
So is there a risk of not replacing that plow blade this year, or would we think we'd do it right first thing in the 2026?
Yeah, it would be, for the 2026 plan and purchased pretty quickly in January. Yeah, it still has life left in it, so it's not gonna, it currently works right now. But it would be one of our first purchases for sure.
So that would become a budget item for 2026.
That's right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this blade, the one you want to replace it with was slightly bigger than this one. Is that correct?
Yeah, we wanted to go to a little bit wider blade, yeah, from the one that we have. The one we have right now, I think, is 90 inches, and we want to go up to 108, I think, 94 to 108.
Any other discussion? Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried.
All right, we'll go on to report ENG 25-012. This is the Range Road 2183 upgrade. So following the cancellation of the tender, we took a look at options to move the project forward. This project does have RIRG funding, so we still want to make use of that in the road upgrade. So what was discussed at committee and what is being recommended to council is that we reduce the length of road upgrade being proposed and then change the surface treatment from asphalt surface to chip seal surface. So that reduces the cost of the surfacing. It does increase the cost of the the subsurface structure slightly, but overall changing, reducing the length from 1.3 kilometers to just under 1 kilometer, and then changing from asphalt to chip seal provides an estimated cost within that $1.4 million for the project, and still makes use of the $500,000 of potential SARM funding.
Looking for a motion to discuss.
I'll make it. That administration be directed to retender the Range Road 2183 upgrade project in 2025 with a reduced scope to align with the approved project budget, and that the scope reduction provides for the project length of 950 meters and a chip seal surface treatment.
Thank you. Discussion? So I've got a question, if we don't do this, we lose that 500,000 funding, right?
If we don't retender the project in 2025, yeah. If we fail to tender it this year, then the funding will be,
Will be pulled.
Yeah.
And then is this work still to be done in 2025?
No. No, as long as we have the tender process complete in 2025, we can construct in 2026. So it'll allow for the full 2026 construction season, which if we're tendering at the end of this year for next year's work, we should receive pretty favorable funding or pricing from contractors.
And then going from like the 1,000 meters a kilometer down to 950, did that make that big of a difference, like to stay within budget?
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah, it's an expensive road per meter just because the like the existing dirt structure beneath the road is so weak.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we saw the pricing that came in. It was because the design is much more robust than some of the other roads we've built recently. It's also a wider road because it's an RIRG road, so the road top is quite a bit wider as well than some of the other ones that we've done recently as well. So yeah, reducing it. I mean, it's only 330 meters, but that's almost 25%, 30% of what the road length is to begin with. So it's although it doesn't on paper look like a lot, it's still a pretty good percentage decrease.
Any other questions for Clark? Anybody?
I just looking at the surface treatment, the different available things there, and that calcium road stabilizer I would imagine the sub structure would still have to be repaired with that, even that type of a thing.
Well, the substructure is really the expensive part of this project at the end of the day, and so we would still build the same road whether we're chip sealing or putting that surface on, because at the end of the day, we don't want rutting. We want, the road has to stand up to the truck traffic that's happening on there. And so that's what that road design provides for, is the strength, right? Like the calcium road stabilization, it might add a little bit of strength, but it's more to keep the road top together, keep from water penetrating into it. But it's still going to rut, still going to have to maintain it. And that's why they say, oh, it's maintainable. You come through and grade it and pack it again and put it back to normal. That's something that I want to avoid. That's something that when we talk to other municipalities, especially in the first few years, products like that have a real issue with moisture and having a really slick surface during rains or during runoff events. I didn't want the perception from the public to be, we spent $1.4 million on a road and you can't drive on it when it rains in the first couple of years. So that's why the recommendation is to chip seal. You have that high coefficient of friction. It looks and feels like pavement still, and provides, the kind of the same protection against moisture that the other products do. But there is still the aggregate, there's still the emulsion in there. It seals it off, and again, it acts as though it's a paved road. So.
With the double chip seal, is there any way that a person can, if you have potholes or something, can you do a hot mix patch in them and stuff then too?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why the repairs are so more expensive than just running your grader down it and re-maintaining the road, is we do have to do asphalt repairs when there is frost boils or larger potholes that pop up. So longer, more expensive maintenance in the long run, but less often and kind of smaller. We're not touching the whole road up when we're having to maintain it, which we would be with the maintainable asphalt or the MG30.
Well, I had, yesterday I driven, by the compressor station there and the canola based, one that we've got out there. Yeah, it's starting to, fall apart quite a bit there and stuff. And that
Right.
was,
Yeah. And because again, with that, there's a schedule of reapplications, right? So, you know, in the first 5 years, you kind of have to follow that schedule of continually adding that, the canola to the roadway and reworking it in and kind of finally getting that full layer kind of incorporated and sealed up.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay, then I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried.
Okay, and we'll move on to report -013. This is Spruce Creek drainage. So this is kind of a two-part issue. One is the approved project that we had to complete in Spruce Creek, which was the improvement to the Spruce Creek drainage channels that connect to Spruce Creek Lake. However, more recently, it's been brought to our attention from the Spruce Creek Lake Co-op that the lake itself is experiencing intense sediment blooms during rainfall events, and that since they have in the last year and two made capital improvements to their infrastructure, that as they're not in control of the infrastructure upstream of the lake, they're requesting that the RM take immediate measures to stop sediment from entering the lake. They spent a lot of capital dredging the lake and removing sediment to return the lake bottom to the existing design elevations from when it was constructed. And so they're wanting to make sure that it doesn't fill in, faster than they expect. They're managing it properly. They're setting money aside to dredge it at a certain interval. But if that's being accelerated by certain factors like undeveloped lands and improper erosion and protection upstream of it, there's not much they can do themselves to mitigate it. So they have requested that the RM take immediate action. Recommendation from administration is to divert the scope of the work from the Spruce Creek Lake drainage channels to improving sediment and erosion control upstream of those channels. Mostly concentrated in the back a lot, the rear yard channels, which are north and east of those lake channels. That's where there's undeveloped lots, undeveloped land, just bare dirt. Where, last year we actually had to, again, just like they dredged the lake, we had to dredge one of the drainage channels because it had filled in so much. People were finishing their lots off. They would get their final grading done, and the back of their lot would be lower than the drainage channel behind it by a foot. So we undertook that work. Obviously, it's been eroding over time. So we don't have a solution of exactly what we're going to do yet, but we do want to use these funds to take immediate action to mitigate the impact of sediment into the Spruce Creek Lake now, and especially in advance of spring runoff.
Thank you. I think this is something that is necessary and requires our immediate attention. The drainage channels were, like you said, aesthetic. This is going to protect that lake and the money that those residents and the co-op put into it to fix it. I'm in favor of this. I think the RM needs to do this, and I think we also need to visit solutions for that undeveloped land and perhaps even with the developer.
Yeah, agreed. A big source of some of the sediment that's moving, and like I said, is from bare lots that were graded and then never developed, as well as the future phase 2, which hasn't been developed yet. There's just a lot of dirt that's being blown in and washed in that needs vegetation. It needs cover. It needs something to bind it to the ground.
Yeah.
But again, private lands, there's nothing we can undertake without
approval,
working with the landowners.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Clark regarding this?
Do you want a motion to discuss further?
Sure.
I can do it. That council directs administration to revise the project scope for Spruce Creek drainage and that the revised scope is to include erosion and sediment control measures upstream of the Spruce Creek Lake.
Thank you.
I do have a question, Clark. I guess you don't have the solutions right now as far as mitigating the upstream measures there. But if the land is still bare, I don't know how you stop that. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a perpetual problem until those lands are developed in my non-engineering brain.
Yeah, so there's the long term, yes, it would be great to have that seeded to some crop or grasses or something that holds it until develop is ready. And I would like to undertake that work as soon as possible to establish it as soon as possible. Like if we can seed in fall, that just means that we're ahead of the game next year rather than deferring and waiting until next year to undertake that work. But in advance of that, there's silt fencing that we can put up. There's logs like straw wattles, that kind of thing that slows the water down, helps build up the sediment prior to it getting to those culverts. Really protecting those culverts from the sediment rolling in is the four kind of areas where I think we can make the biggest impact. In the case of the September 12th and 13th rains, the water was running over the road. There's almost no way to stop that from creating mess. But in the smaller rains where it's runoff that's not crossing over the road, there is still physical barriers that we can put up to kind of trap and stop the sediment from entering the pipe networks.
With this,
just need some socks.
do we
Anybody
have
have
to
any-
outsource this, or is this something our own team can do?
This is something that I can undertake with some of the suppliers, and as well, I can reach out to engineering firms to make recommendations as well. We have budget for drainage, so it is again within the $75,000 budget provided. It's the majority of the design work would be completed in-house with probably some consultation, and then the majority of the cost would just be from the physical materials themselves being implemented. But I would still reach out for some best practice and some recommendations.
I got a question. Is the landowner contributing to this cost?
Well, we haven't gone that far yet, but they will be engaged.
They'll be engaged?
Yep.
Okay.
And in advance of any negotiations, I want to make sure this work is undertaken just to mitigate the risks.
Before spring runoff.
That's right. So yes, I believe the landowner in terms of the developer should be a partner in this, both in terms of the solution and the financial cost of the solution for some of the issues of the developed lands that are contributing the sediment. However, I'm not going to let that hold up the process of implementing the solutions.
I agree with that, but I think he should be contacted upfront, say this is going to happen.
Yep. I mean, following the motion. Yeah. Didn't want to get too ahead of anything.
So after lunch, you'll let us know.
It's 11:55.
Okay. Anybody else? Anybody have any other questions? Stephen?
So those drainage ditches, after our meeting, I went over there kind of driving around, and those drainage ditches that come before, they come right off the road, right? They take water off the road right
That's right.
into
Yep.
the creek.
Yeah.
Like we had that 5 inches of rain over there, which just didn't help all the sediment that actually, where the picture they showed, I'm pretty sure that was after that rain, right?
That one was that one with like the silt bloom in the lake. That one I think was from a previous, yeah, from like earlier in the summer. Yeah.
So our pig.
Yep.
Is it, and there's probably a lot of sand blowing up.
Yep.
Are they clean? Like, are the roads are they swept? Like, street sweepers and stuff? Because that's probably a lot of where that sand comes from.
Yeah, again, the undeveloped lots, wind, rain, take it onto the road. And then on the roads, there's actual curb cutouts where they connect to those drainage channels. So again, those are areas where we would institute some sediment control, even along the roadway. I don't know if you've seen them, but even around catch basins, you've seen in other urban centers, there'll be an orange kind of snake looking sock around catch basins. So those are the types of things in new developments, especially, that are instituted, because those new developments, again, aren't, there's no landscaping yet. And so a lot of that dirt needs to be trapped before it enters the storm sewers. So, yeah. But yeah, the physical curbs themselves where those cutouts are, those would be areas we would target as well.
Anybody else? Anybody have any? Okay, then I'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried. With it being 2 minutes to 12, I suggest we reconvene at 1 o'clock. So we will call the meeting to recess. Looking for a motion? Nicole, thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, the time being 1:01, we will reconvene the meeting. 10.1 is the first item under RM Business, Canada Community Building Fund Grant Funding Allocation.
Okay, so this is to allocate the Canada Community Building Fund, I'll call CCBF, grant funding for the 2025-26 in the amount of $281,239.20 amongst capital projects identified by administration. The municipality receives annual allocations to finance projects and enhance community sustainability and improve public infrastructure. And for the year 2025-26, the grant reporting period, the RM's funds available funding is the $281,239.20. Administration is recommending 2 projects, the Bridlewood Road Improvement and the Mission Point Estates Pathway Paving. So we indicate what the projects were. So we want to allocate $250,000 for the Bridlewood improvement, and then the remaining $31,239.20 to the Mission Point Estates Pathway Paving. As part of the 2026 budget deliberations, Council will have the opportunity to recommend future capital projects to be financed through the CCBF grant funding. So right now we're requesting a resolution to submit the infrastructure investment plan applications for those 2 projects.
Thank you. Looking for a motion so we can discuss?
Sure. I'll do it.
Thank you, Jim.
Now we direct administration to submit infrastructure investment plan IIP application to Canada Community Building Fund following projects for 2025. Bridlewood Road improvements, $250,000. Mission Point Estates Pathway and Paving, $31,239.20.
Thank you. Discussion? Anybody have any questions or concerns?
I have a couple. Surprise, surprise. Two things. One is that's the Bridlewood Road improvement. So we've already done some of that, correct? Okay, that's complete. So is that 250 cover all of that then? Okay, awesome. The second question is really around, is this IIP funding the same as sort of the ISIP funding that we had previously, or is this a new bucket of federal funds?
This is formerly the gas tax funding.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's just a name change in the program. And the Mission Point Pathway, how much was that?
I don't have that figure in front of me.
Okay.
It hasn't been invoiced yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any, I guess one point about that Mission Point Estates Pathway on Sunday, I was talking to Donna, our CSO, and she said she was out when church got out on Spruce Creek Road, and she said there is 200 cars And she said that pathway, and it's just so happened that she brought it up, she said is amazing because she said those people cannot walk on that road. So that was just an off the cuff comment that it was well needed. So well done. Anybody else have any? Okay, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Motion is carried. 10.2, this is where I've got a conflict of interest. I'm going to turn the chair over to Stan while this is done.
Okay,
Just take it from there.
yep. Yeah, I'll wait till you get out. 10.2 grants other fall 2025.
So this report, I'll do this one. This report is to determine if council would like to provide monetary donations for the fall 2025 municipal grant applications that do not meet the criteria of the sponsorship policy, but are still initiatives benefiting the region. So we provided a summary of the 4 applications that were received throughout the year. So the only new application for the fall intake was the new one that we received from the Regina Ski Club for the Franks Lake Road parking lot. So this was one that we received a separate application in the spring, and then we received a new application again here in the fall. And then the other 3 items were ones that we received back in the spring. So administration is recommending that we provide the full funding request of $2,000 to the Regina Ski Club, as this was the only new application for the fall. And then in alignment with the recommendation that was reached in the spring, that the remaining budget of $4,060 be allocated based on a percentage of the total funding request. So there's a table there on page 3 that summarizes. So up top, it shows the 3 projects and the full amount requested and the percentage of the total, and then how that shakes out if we were to distribute based on a percentage of the total. And then we've provided a summary there at the bottom. So the full budget for 2025 was $20,000. $12,500 was allocated in the spring. Council did a special motion for the White Butte Regimental Ball to purchase tickets that wound up being $1,440, which means that we have $6,060 to allocate for the fall. If council goes along with the recommendation to do the full $2,000 for the ski club, then we'll divvy up the $4,060 amongst the remaining 3 applications. So for other options, the other municipal grants budget of $20,000 is distributed at council's discretion. So council may suggest providing alternative allocations if you wish.
Somebody want to read the
I'll make a
recommendation?
motion there for
Okay,
it.
motion,
That the RM approve the following contributions as other municipality grants outside the sponsorship policy for the fall 2025 intake period. Regina Ski Club, Franks Lake Road parking lot for White Butte Trails, $2,000. Eco's White City School playground revitalization project, $1,940. Edenwold Golden Age Seniors, new flooring for senior citizens, senior center, $1,470. Pilot Butte Community Rodeo ground improvements, $650.
okay. You've heard the motion. Is there any questions?
I was just looking and yeah, for some of them, we're not giving very much to them, but again, I guess it'll be told that this is how much money we had available and we decided to divvy it up and yeah. And yeah, even $650 is better than nothing. So.
I think they will be pleased because this is above and beyond the donation that we already gave in the spring. So we told them at that time they may get additional funds, but it's not guaranteed. So this is an amount above and beyond what they already received.
And we have leftovers of, what was the amount? That will carry forward to next year? Is there?
If we do the 4 as recommended, that will use up the full 20,000 budget for this year.
Thanks.
Any more questions? Okay, hearing none, I call the motion. All in favor? Motion's carried. There she comes.
Okay, next is item 10.3, tax exemption bylaw number 2025-18, 154 Rock Point Crescent.
Okay, so we have 3 tax exemption bylaws coming up here, which we're looking for all 3 readings at this meeting. So we've prepared one report. It shows the, for the first reading, we'll have you read out the full entire paragraph, but for a second, 3 readings and third reading, you just need to say the bylaw number. We will record it as the full paragraph in the minutes, but just to make it shorter for everyone. For the first one, this is 154 Rock Point Crescent. And I'll just go through all these. Each of these applications align with the criteria set out in the Economic Development Residential Infill Incentive Policy. All the lots are situated within the designated infill locations. All these lots are in good standing concerning tax payments. The application proposes the construction of a detached residential dwelling for all proposed lots, and the applicants have completed the tax exemption application form. All these will take effect starting in 2026. And this is the 3-year tax exemption where the municipal taxes on the improvement or the dwelling are exempted. On the dwelling only are exempted. Landowners are still responsible to pay the municipal tax on the land and the school taxes on the land and the improvement. So we're looking for all 3 readings for these 3 tax exemption bylaws.
Okay. Looking for a motion for the first bylaw number 2025-18.
Sure, I'll start it off here. That bylaw number 2025-18 being a bylaw to provide for entering into an agreement for exemption from taxation for 154 Rock Point Crescent, lot 33, block/par 1 plan 10206085 extension 0. Southwest 10, 1818, west of the 2nd in Rock Point Estates be given first reading.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Looking for a motion for second reading.
The bylaw